The dominance that Giannis Antetokounmpo displayed in the finals was unreal, and it was a great reminder of the most unstoppable NBA player in the modern era, Shaquille O'Neal. However, to truly appreciate Shaq's greatness, for all of you that didn't get a chance to watch him in his prime, or for the ones that may have forgotten, let's go back and take a look at Shaq's best game from each of the 6 finals that he was a part of. The numbers are straight up insane. What up everybody, my name is Stefan and this is Heat Check. Let's get into it. Starting off in 1995 against the Rockets. In just his 3rd season and at the tender age of 23, Shaq would win the scoring title in the regular season. After beating MJ and the Bulls, Orlando would square off in the finals against the defending champions, the Houston Rockets. Though the Magic themselves and many pundits believed that the title would be coming to Florida, the Rockets had different plans. After a heartbreaking Game 1 loss in Orlando, Houston smelled blood and pulled off a sweep. Yet that didn't stop Shaq from putting up a crazy performance. A stat line of 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 7 assists tells just part of the story. The Diesel was efficient from the field, 12 makes on 22 tries, and had a solid, by his standards, production at the charity stripe going 9 for 14. Also, the Magic shooters benefited greatly from the double teams, as evidenced by Shaq's high assist number. This stat line becomes even more impressive when you consider that he was guarded by one of the greatest defenders in the history of the game, Hakeem Olajuwon, who'd won the Defensive Player of the Year award in both 93 and 94. Even Hakeem himself said that guarding a 23-year-old Shaq was a tough task. For the finals, Shaq averaged 28 points, 12.5 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 2.5 blocks on almost 60% shooting from the field. Remember though, this was just his 3rd season in the league. So let's move on to Prime Shaq, which was in 2000 against the Indiana Pacers. This is O'Neal's greatest season. Not only did he win the scoring title, but also he was voted the MVP of the season. It should be mentioned here that he was 1 vote short of becoming the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. The Diesel also won the All-Star Game MVP award, sharing it with Tim Duncan. In his 2nd finals appearance, Shaq wasn't going to be denied. Though all 6 games against the Pacers are something to behold, especially Game 1, 43 points, 19 rebounds, and 4 assists, or the game-clinching Game 6, a cool 41 and 12, we'll have to go with Game 2, mainly because the first one was a blowout, while this was a more competitive 7-point win for the Lakers. Now the stat line: 40 points, 24 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks. This is insane. You know what's also crazy? This had the potential to be perhaps one of the greatest finals performances ever if Shaq had been more accurate from the charity stripe. Battling with Rick Smits, the Davis brothers, and even Austin Crozier, Shaq went to the free throw line 39 times, which is still a record, but connected on just 18 attempts. For the series, in this hard-to-believe 6-game explosion, Shaq averaged 38 points, 16.7 rebounds, and 2.7 blocks per contest while shooting 61% from the field. O'Neal had his first title and more than deservedly got the Finals MVP award. The very next year, Superman was back in the finals and he gave us a similar performance. This is a tough one, though many would be tempted to choose Game 1 with 44 points, 20 rebounds, and 5 assists, albeit in a loss, they wouldn't be wrong. Game 2, however, just may get the edge. Several reasons for that. First, the Lakers bounced back from that Game 1 loss. Second, Shaq showed that, when engaged on defense, he could be a devastating menace on that end of the court as well. And third, he continued to dominate that year's Defensive Player of the Year, Dikembe Mutombo. Now for the final stat line: 28 points, 20 rebounds, 9 assists, and 8 blocks. What? On 12 for 19 shooting from the field. If that's not dominance, I don't know what is. And we all know what happened next. The Lakers won the next 3 games as well to finish off the Sixers in 5. For the series, Shaq, now a 2-time back-to-back champion, had averages of 33 points, almost 16 rebounds, and 5 assists, to go along with 3.5 blocks on 57% shooting from the field. Oh, and of course, he was the Finals MVP again. The following season in 2002 against the New Jersey Nets, we saw pretty much the same thing in the finals. After a grueling 7-game series with the Kings, the Lakers made it back to the matchup for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. They were the overwhelming favorites, mostly because the Nets' collection of big bodies, which included Kenyon Martin, Todd McCullough, Jason Collins, and Aaron Williams, stood no chance against the Diesel, whether from a team defense standpoint or let alone one-on-one. The choice here is simple. Game 2 saw Shaq do, well, Shaq things, putting up a 40 and 12 to go along with 8 assists. As always, he was efficient from the field, 14 of 23, but what is often forgotten is that this game saw Shaq hit 12 out of 14 from the free throw line. And yeah, you heard that well. How do you defend that? The Lakers swept the Nets, completing their three-peat. For the series, Shaq had averages of 36 points, 12 rebounds, and almost 4 assists to go along with 3 blocks per game. All that while shooting almost 60% from the field. You guessed it, he was the finals MVP yet again.
Hey, quick timeout. I cannot believe that the large majority of you haven't subscribed. Like, you need to be a part of the notification squad and support your boy, White Kyrie. You cannot miss a shooter like this, baby. Check me out. From way downtown. The bank is open, baby. Subscribe.
Let's now go to the 2004 finals, where in a surprising turn of events to say the least, the Lakers lost to the Detroit Pistons. But first, some context. Certainly, the Lakers were expected to easily dispatch the Pistons, but an injury to Karl Malone, despite the mailman's age, hurt the Lakers. Also, their season was marked by the Kobe-Shaq feud, which by that time had reached its peak. But perhaps most importantly, it seems that everybody underestimated the Pistons, especially their defense. Not only was Ben Wallace the Defensive Player of the Year in 02, 03, and later on 05 and 06, but also he had more than solid help from Rasheed Wallace, Mehmet Okur, and Eldon Campbell. A 32-year-old Shaq, however, managed to put up huge numbers, though not that impressive if you compare them to the ones during the three-peat. His best performance came in Game 4, in what is clearly Diesel's last great game in the finals. With the Lakers down 2-1, Shaq did all he could to help his team tie the series, registering a ridiculous 36 points and 20 rebounds while playing almost the whole game, 47 minutes and 24 seconds to be exact. His efficiency was once again off the charts, 16 of 21 for 76% from the field. Not even the Pistons, considered among the greatest defensive teams of all time, could do anything to stop him. Yet, that was not enough, as the Lakers lost and found themselves in a 3-1 hole. The Pistons ultimately won in 5, which marked the end of the Kobe-Shaq Lakers. For the finals, Shaq averaged almost 27 points and 11 rebounds per contest, while shooting 63% from the field. Don't forget that at the time, this was not considered a highly successful series for Shaq. That just goes to show you how dominant he was. Averaging almost 27 and 11 against an all-time defense and not being considered highly successful, the standards he set for himself were rightfully very high. After the season, O'Neal was sent to Florida. A motivated Shaq, who obviously wanted to show that the Lakers had made a mistake by keeping Kobe, promised a title before the start of his first season in Miami. The Heat would have their first shot at the Larry O'Brien Trophy the following year though. And while it was obvious in the 06 finals against the Mavs that the 34-year-old Shaq was not his old self, he once again showed up, doing so when it mattered the most. You will not be wrong if you choose Shaq's Game 4 with 17 points and 13 rebounds or Game 5, 18 and 12, but the choice is easily Game 3. Not that Shaq had more points and rebounds, he didn't, but in addition to his 16 points and 11 boards that night, he also added 5 assists and 2 blocks. Perhaps more importantly, he was 4 of 6 from the free throw line, including 2 crucial makes that brought the Heat within 3 with 1:48 to go. The key thing why this game trumps all others is because that contribution by Shaq was pivotal as the Heat, down 0-2, won the game and made it a series again. They would win the next 3 as well to be crowned champions, mainly thanks to Finals MVP Dwayne Wade, who must be mentioned when discussing this series. For the finals, Shaq averaged 13.5 points, 10 rebounds, and almost 3 assists per game, while once again being efficient from the field with 60.7%. So, excluding 2006, what we just went through can simply be described as sheer dominance. There's a reason why many teams in the early 2000s were focused only on finding the key to mitigating Shaq's impact and build their rosters accordingly. That's mainly why that period saw the Mutombos and the McCullochs of the world be part of the Eastern Conference contenders, and that's why the Spurs, Kings, and Blazers always had a lot of big guys. Of course, the era and style of basketball was different, and such players were not that hard to find on rosters, but you'll be wrong if you assume that contenders didn't always have strategies on how to deal with Shaq on their mind. And another extremely important thing, considering that the number of points scored in that era was not that high, Shaq's statistics become even more impressive. A stat line of, for example, 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists has way more weight if registered in the early 2000s than if similar or identical numbers are reached in the current era. And finally, when it comes to the always tempting question about how Shaq would fare in the current era, let's leave it for some other day. For now, let's just appreciate his greatness and his dominance. That's it for now. Subscribe and talk to the next one. Peace out.
That is broken out here at Staples. Oh, playing. You could hear that. You could hear that at Venice Beach.
You know I had to give you some of Shaq's outside shooting. You know that. Peace.